All right, it is time for us to have a look at the newspapers. And I will be kicking us off with the Daily Nation. The top story here is crisis as 32 billion shillings unsold tea hits farmers' payouts. A bitter mess. A standoff over state fixed minimum prices at the Mombasa tea auction has left warehouses overflowing with over 100 million kilos of unsold produce, with many farms, including the giant Kenya Tea Development Agency (KTDA), struggling to pay farmers and resorting to loans to offset dues to the growers. And as the tea bonus season beckons, it's a race. It's a race against time for the authorities to unlock the stalemate and farmers had earned cash. This is a story on page 4. Quite unfortunate there. And I see here still on the top page how Ruto ministers minted millions in 21 months. 3 cabinet secretary nominees named back to the cabinet by President William Ruto yesterday revealed multi-million shilling increases in their wealth in less than 2 years in office. This as the first batch of 5 nominees faced a tough test before the State House Committee. And I think taking the lion's share is Professor Kithure Kindiki, Cabinet Secretary nominee for Interior and National Administration, with the numbers even trickling up to 694 million shillings of the wealth that they have been able to garner from just the first 2 years of them being in cabinet. Miss Alice Wahome here, 327 million shillings. We have Miss Soy Pantuya with over 243 million shillings. This is in 21 months. Anyway, we continue to follow through with the vetting. Mr. Julius Migos, now up at 790 million shillings. And we have Dr. Deborah Mlongo Barasa, Cabinet Secretary nominee for Health, 455 million Kenyan shillings. And this is a story well covered in the Daily Nation on pages 6 and also 7. And I see still on the top page, airman who escaped 3 executions and lived to tell the coup tale. On the night of August 1st, 1982, Lieutenant Adan Mulata, a Kenya Air Force pilot, and his friends stopped by a pre-wedding event at the sports pavilion in Moi Air Base Eastleigh. Then all hell broke loose. Story well detailed. Page 2, Mulata Ochuka ordered my execution, and that's the same story. And I see here Lieutenant General Adan Mulata saying, when I was presented before him by Corporal Ngatia and he was informed that I had declined to fly, he looked at me and casually said that if I had refused to fly, then I should be executed. Look at that story on page 2. Page 3, airman who escaped 3 executions and lived to tell the tale of a 43-year KDF career. Mulata thanks God for being spared a firing squad by the coup organizers after he found himself trapped with the mutineers at the onset of the coup. Look at that story. The 1982 coup attempt feature is on pages 2 and also 3. And page 4, what we touched on earlier on, I see here 100 million is the kilograms of unsold tea being held in warehouse at the Mombasa tea auction, according to PS. And I see 2 tea farms say prices have fallen to unsustainable levels as a result of market saturation. Players in the industry call for destruction of stocks and removal of the minimum guaranteed price. Story on page 4. Page 5, I see Senate to be part of IG vetting Sholay rules. Me, MP David Ochieng, we cannot be worrying about the Senate all the time. We live within the laws. We must stop whining about the Senate every time. That's a story on page 5, as where some MPs sought to exclude Senate, saying holder performs national role. Ruto CS nominees face tough test on first day of vetting, which did take place. And I see the conduct of police during protests, Shakahola deaths, and the bodies inquiry became Professor Kindiki's albatross. And this is a story on page 7. And I see Suna East MP Jeanette Mohammed, during Azimio protest last year, 75 people were killed. In the recent one, Gen Z protest, 50 people died, and your voice wasn't heard. What is it that you're going to do differently this time? What a question. Look at that story on page 6. And moving on, I see on page 8 here, the scramble for top ODM positions. I see recent proposals to fill parliamentary positions have left a number of party members dissatisfied. Homa Bay Governor Wanga among those who interested in deputy party leader seat. Page 8 of the Daily Nation. And I also see here on the county news, blow to victims of overseas studies scam as case stayed. They have sued Governor Jonathan B. and his administration demanding a refund of their money. High Court has put off judgment at small claims court that was to be delivered this month. This is in the county of Uasin Gishu. And in Nakuru, Keheka aims to recover 8 billion owed by state corporations and private farms. And in Mombasa, coast leaders back Nasir for ODM top seat as Joho joins cabinet. And I see still on the county news, you can look at more on Nakuru County here, has hired the services of a debt collector and granted waivers on interest charges. Governor Susan Keheka here saying we are holding talks with several debtors, including Kenya Railways and Nakuru Catholic Diocese, to find ways to settle their arrears. This is a story on page 20 in the county news. In some international news, I see Dave Shadowy, Hamas boss behind October 7 terrorist attack on Israel. He'd survived 7 Israeli assassination attempts, the most recent in 2021. Today, the rage of Al-Aqsa, the rage of our people and nation is exploding. This is a story on page 21, and that is on the international news. And on the business, of course, we are celebrating excellence at Top 40 Under 40 Women Gala. So many women have really come out, and this is really, really beautiful seeing the Kenyan women doing great things. And I see here the new part of course, the story is covered on page 22 of the business pull out in the Daily Nation, but also I did see the same being reported. Let me just look at that on the Business Daily. And here saying the 2024 Top 40 Under 40 women finalists show off their dancing skills during the awards dinner at Serena Hotel in Nairobi on Wednesday. And this is a story on page 2, which is very well covered in the Business Daily. NMG FET's Top 40 Under 40 women. A very, very, very beautiful story right there. I see Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo poses with her trophy, and I see more women like Two Rivers International Finance and Innovation Center CEO Brenda Mbathi. I see disabilities advocate Wanja Maina also flaunting her trophies, Dr. Mweni Saumu as well, and many, many more women the top 40 Under 40 women on the same. You can look at that story on the Business Daily. And coming to the Standard, I see the top story here is North Parks as 2.5 billion shillings nominees face test. And this is a story that has also been covered on the Daily Nation. Goes on to say there were no fireworks as MPs who faced the wrath of Gen Zs for passing the Fallen Finance Bill 2024 in protest that forced the dissolution of the cabinet sought redemption yesterday during day one of scrutiny of President William Ruto's 5 picks worth a combined net worth of 2.5 billion shillings. And before, it has been indicated about Soy Pantua, what she had before, and right now what we are looking at, all of them have really, really gone up. I think the highest should be, I see here, net worth before Kithure Kindiki was 544 million. Now it's 694 million shillings. So definitely so many question marks on the same. And Michael Ndonye here on the opinion letters reasoned together in analyzing what ails Kenya. President Ruto is elevated as the chief culprit, but our political salvation will begin when we realize Ruto is not the enemy. This is what Michael Ndonye on page 14 is saying. Look at more on the same. Kalonzo Kioni throw weight behind Rigathi. This is on page 4. Rights group sues over roads levy. This is a story on page 9. Anger over Hamas chief killing still on the same story that has also been reported in the Daily Nation. World page 21 is also covered on the Standard. And I see here on the sports page, it's a clash of world champions and fastest women in history. That's on the Paris Olympics 2024 World champion Kipyegon set to make Olympic 5,000 meter debut today, and 1,500 meter world record holder will face 10,000 meter world record holder Chebet Hassan and Sigeni. And on page 30, Reynolds counting on Budapest experience as 1,500 meter battle starts. And that's the story on page 30. Timothy Cheruiyot targets another podium place after silver in Tokyo. And on page 31, I see here 4 Kenyans win fully paid trip to watch Team Kenya compete in Paris. The Business Daily, just briefly, Treasury stares at 510 billion shillings hole as tax laws collapse. Government heads to the Supreme Court, some taxes to rise a result of ruling. And I see here Jainde Kisero, who is giving a bit of an opinion on the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport concession saga. Nasema so far, much more hit than light. That's his take. And on the last word today, I see Katia here, anaitwa Buchamp, co-founder and CEO of Batchbox, saying whatever it is that you think you want to do and whatever it is that you think stands between you and that, stop making excuses. You can do anything. So that's it for the Daily Nation and the Standard, and also the Business Daily. But you can grab a copy of your favorite and, of course, get to be informed, so we know how to pray and also just know what is happening in our nation and also beyond. Now we're gonna be looking at the video of the day, and then later on talk about it, even as we are gearing up towards our second hour with Karen Habuk.